everybody? Welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh!
All right,
World
boy
Championship
Yu-Gi-Oh! We are
2024.
about to start the
Hope everybody
semifinals for the
enjoyed that
TCG.
Master
Let's
Duel
get into it. Like,
semifinal
comment,
match.
subscribe,
It
share the
was amazing,
videos.
but now the TCG team has swapped in here to check out the semifinals of the TCG and OCG division.
Yep.
It's shaping up to be a really excellent championship Sunday here in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and I can't wait to meet our players for this match.
The semifinals. Let's get into it. WCS 2024 TCG semifinals.
That's right, Jerome. We have finally made it here to the semifinals of the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024. Our first competitor is Ruben from the United States. And his favorite card, we talked about yesterday, is Destiny Hero Malicious.
His opponent is no stranger as well. Facing him will be Jose Santiago, also from the United States. Favorite card, Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon.
No kidding about being no stranger to them. In fact, these two players have already played once this weekend, back in round number 2.
That's right, Jerome. We saw them on the feature match stage in round number 2, where they went to game 3. Ruben was barely able to take the win over there against Jose, but that was one of Jose's only losses throughout the entire 7 rounds of Swiss yesterday.
Yeah, definitely going to be a bit of a grudge match here, but they are very close friends. They've been working together up to this point. They may both made
it's sad that
from
they always
the
got to
World
play each other,
Championship
but it is
points
what it is,
playoff
you
in
know.
the NAWCQ.
It was fun because, you know, the points playoff, it stops after you get the top 2, right? It's a single elimination event. Once you get to the top 2, they're both going. You don't need to play that last match anyways. So the fact that they played it later in the WCQ itself, and then again here in day 1, and again here now in day 2, feels like it's destiny.
Yeah, these players are very familiar with each other, and they're probably friends, as you mentioned us all. They probably play test together, so they've probably dueled each other countless times. But there's never been as much pressure and as many stakes on the line as there is here in the semifinals. I mean, to be 2 round wins away from becoming the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Champion, we've only had one player from the U.S. ever become world champion, and that was last year. It was Paulie, and now we have a chance with 3 players from the United States in the top 4, 2 of them having to face off against each other here. It is just incredible, and I can't believe we are finally here in the semifinals. It felt like yesterday went by so quickly. We have 28 of the best players from around the world that competed, and now we're down to the final 4.
So here's something I was thinking about when I was watching the Master Duel match earlier. As a player, is it an advantage to you to watch somebody else go first, even if it's in a different game in a situation like this?
I mean, for me, I'd rather just get my match over with and go first. I mean, that's kind of the same way I do my school projects. If I have to present in front of the class, I want to be the first one up there to go and just get it over with. But, there is kind of something special about watching another team celebrate, another team go through that hardship from winning that round and finding a way to make it to the finals. So they may be able to ride that excitement that came from that matchup. So you really could go either way depending on the person.
All right,
Yeah, it definitely
Ruben looking
lights a
locked
fire
in
under you,
again.
especially
Let's see
in
how
a
this
match
goes.
like that. The Master Duel, going into the Master Duel finals is going to be one of the craziest finals in a while. It's going to be a back-to-back finals from last year. So these players, they don't want to let them steal their thunder, right? They have their own finals to try to get to.
That's what I was thinking, is that you see some matches as good as the ones that we saw back in the last round, and you got to figure, well, I got to put on a show now.
Exactly. I mean, you got to live up to that hype. It was so exciting. It came down to that last match in that Master Duel final. And now, we are here in the TCG, but the Master Duel finals is a rematch from last year's Master Duel finals, which everyone is incredibly excited for. But having a chance to have another player from the United States of America become the world champion, also equally as exciting here.
Well, we have guaranteed one North American going to the finals because of this match.
Yep, that's for sure. No matter who wins, the United States will be in the finals. And, it couldn't be 2 more incredible duels for the past year. They've been doing phenomenal at our events, but it looks like they're ready. It's going to be game number 1 of our first semifinal match here at the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2024.
Clock's running. We are ready to go.
All right, this game 1 will start.
I feel like Ruben won
Let's
the
see.
dice roll here. He's looking at his hand. You see that? Yep, it sounds like he's going in the main phase.
All right, starting things off with opening of the Spirits Gates. That's a strong start for the Fiend-Smith-U-Bell strategy.
Ooh, it's going to resolve as well.
I mean, when you think about the interruptions that you can happen to opening the Spirit Gates, you'd rather, like, if it have something along the lines of Ash Blossom, you don't want to use it on opening the Spirit Gates because of its secondary effect is honestly the most powerful one. And if you do have something along the lines of Ghost Ogre, you can't activate it on activation. So realistically, sometimes you want to save your interruptions if you do have something for opening the Spirit Gate, so I don't think it necessarily counts out any interruptions from Jose here.
We've seen a lot of Yubel players opening with both opening the Spirit Gates and Nightmare Throne. But I guess between the two, Throne would be the bigger hit.
Definitely would. So Dark Beckoning Beast is going to add another copy of Beckoning Beast to the hand, it looks like.
And he's going to use his additional normal summon on the Samsarity
All right,
Lotus.
additional normal
pretty
summon. Let's see
ideal.
how this goes.
Going to be able to activate its effect here. Does Jose have a response? It doesn't seem like it.
This is pretty much the opposite of the way the match went the first time. Maybe Jose learned something from that first match. He had plenty of interaction from his hand that he was using left and right, but Ruben was still able to establish that board in round 2 yesterday. But now maybe he's going to be looking to save it and have more of like a key point to use those interruptions from the hand at some point in this turn.
All right,
He's going to have to
Nightmare
find
Pain.
some really opportune moments because very soon there's going to be a Phantom Yubel on the field as soon as these Yubels hit the graveyard.
Yep, Spirit of Yubel, special summon from the deck, and then that's going to set Nightmare Pain. Now Ruben is going to flip up that Nightmare Pain. If this card resolves, it will be a nightmare for Jose, and it looks like he's going to destroy Spirit of Yubel to add Gruesome Grave Squirmer. Now Spirit of Yubel, since it was destroyed, will let him special summon a Yubel from the deck.
See which one we're grabbing. Looks like it's regular old Yubel.
I'm still expecting maybe Ruben to open his eyes. I'm looking at his pupils. Maybe they're different color pupils there. Maybe Yubel is
we have a
the way
60-minute
he is going
or
to make it
55-minute
to the
round,
finals of
looks
the
like.
World Championship. But as you mentioned, Phantom Yubel coming down very early here.
Going to be able to put back the Spirit of Yubel as well as the other Samsarity Lotus in the graveyard. Now going to be able to link away with the Beckoning Beast as well as the Yubel on the field for Unchained Soul Lord Yama. Yama's going to be able to activate its effect. Going to add a copy of Unchained Soul Lord Sharvara.
Yep, Unchained Soul Shavara to the hand. We've seen this before. It doesn't look like Jose has any interactions quite just yet.
Well, while he's looking for them, I've got an update for you on the other semifinal. Mark is up 1 game.
Already? Okay.
Mark up
Wow,
1
so
game.
1
That's
game away from
pretty
making
good.
the finals there for Mark. He came in first after Swiss, going undefeated only with that 1 draw.
Still undefeated thus far.
But his opponents that he's going to have to face, if he does win, are right here. Yugioh could still come back. I hope he does that Fire King strategy. But Ruben moving on with his turn. Special summoning Gruesome Grave Squirmer from the hand. Going to be able to link away Yubel in that Gruesome Grave Squirmer. Spirit of Yubel.
I believe he did use the effect of opening the Spirit Gates, discarding the Spirit of Yubel to summon back the Spirit of Yubel. Is that how it hit the
To
field?
Baby
I
Goddess.
do believe so. And now is going to go into Moon of the Closed Heaven. Going to link summon that
To
away
the
for
Requiem.
Fiendsmith's Requiem.
Requiem going to then be able to activate its effect. Attempt to summon a Fiendsmith Engraver from the deck. Engraver hits the field here. Ruben sequencing in a way where he gets a lot of powerful effects off first, you know, just really building his hand with ways to play through multiple interruptions if Jose happens to have them. And I think from Jose, the way his deck is built, it's very likely that he does have these interruptions in his hand. It would be very unlucky if he didn't. So I think Ruben is expecting a pair because he, at this point, absolutely knows most of the cards in Jose's deck.
Nasal, I know you like pairs. And we'll have to see if he does have a pair of those cards that are going to need to be able to push through the board that Ruben is establishing right now.
So now Jose is checking the graveyard here. I noted he hadn't looked at it at all previously in this turn, so that might give us a clue as to what's hiding in his hand.
It seems like he's getting
He
ready to
might
do
have a
something.
Beastie on hand.
But
We'll see.
sequence is allowed to resolve here. It's going to be able to summon that Fiendsmith Lacrima. Lacrima is going to be able to activate its effect, likely adding the Engraver back to hand here. Yep.
Yeah, we see this a lot where you get the Engraver out of the deck and then you can add it back to the hand with Lacrima, so you can discard it from the hand to access Fiendsmith's Tract.
Engraver uses its effect, doing likely just that.
There it is.
Activating it immediately.
Just going to let him add a
Activating
Light
Tract.
Fiend from the deck to the hand, then he'll have to discard a card.
There's the Lurie.
I'm still waiting for the Majesty's Fiend. One day it's going to be Majesty's Fiend.
I prefer it be Lurie most of the time. Not like for my sake, but my opponent's sake, everyone else's sake.
All right, moving on to a Link Summon. Going to send Sequence and Lurie to the graveyard. Muckraker from the Underworld is now in that extra monster zone.
That's going to go through as well.
Looks like we're putting back the Lurie into the deck for the effective Engravers, hitting the field once again.
All right. Let's see where he goes with this combo.
Jose checking the graveyard, maybe looking to see how accessible it is for another copy of Phantom of Yubel to touch down, or making sure the Gruesome Grave Squirmer's there, what he could do with that in the graveyard as well.
Looks like Ruben is choosing to overlay his 2 level 6 monsters into the High Wave King Caesar.
I think he does. Ruben is, with you, Asal, looking for those pair of cards, so trying to have a pair of cards of his own to counter the pair of cards that Jose might have to disrupt his turn.
Makes
You're
a lot of
thinking
sense.
about, trap cards rather than monster effects because the Phantom Yubel's down there. Now even that's not going to help you out.
Exactly. All right, Gruesome Grave Squirmer is banished to special summon
Bring
back
back the
Spirit
Spirit of
Yubel from the
Yubel.
graveyard. Oh, and it looks like we're going to do a quick look here. Oh, we can see the other match. And it's a little tough to see what's going on, but there's a
Looks like you
Phantasme
got
on the field.
Yeah, it looks like there's a Phantasme. I think I see Fiendsmith sequence there. And it looks like they may all be headed back to the extra deck as part of a fusion summon. If I were to interpret that that particular pile of cards together.
He was calculating something, so maybe a Nibiru resolved, and he was trying to add up the stats.
We did see Mark adding up the stats in Nibiru yesterday, but we do see a Link summon coming down here from Ruben for an Unchained Soul of Rage. Gonna set Abominable. Chamber of the Unchained.
Everything par for the course so far for the Yubel strategy. Ruben being uninterrupted thus far. It looks like he's going to be done with his deck at the very minimum here, offering the cut to Jose.
It's not a bad board he has.
Still
Board's
3
not too
cards in
bad.
hand as well.
Yeah, that's what the interactions from the hand on top of the established field you make is the tough part for Jose. He's going to have to try and fight back. But if he's not having any of those interactions from the hands, that means he probably has cards he can play. So we'll see. It's now Jose's turn. Draws 6 cards.
You saw him shake that card on the draw a little bit. Things might not be looking up.
He needs that card to
See
do
the
quite a
triple
lot for him
tactics
here.
talents in the hand, I think.
All right, we are in the main phase. What is Jose's first action going to be? Looking like a Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes.
Good way to get started here.
It's going to let him place the Snake Eye monster from his deck into the spell and trap zone.
Not necessarily the most ideal card to have in your hand when you could normally search it via other means, but it is useful at playing into boards because if they decide to try to summon any more monsters to try to deal with yours, you do get another free summon, so you're able to extend a little bit further.
Yep, it does help with that. Also gets you face-up cards on your side of the field that you can send to the graveyard for other cards that you might want to summon from your hand, like Diabellstar the Black Witch and cards
Snake
like
Eye
that.
Ash.
But it looks like grabbing the Snake Eye Ash, so we might be looking to move it forward. But yeah, but here comes the Black Witch, sending Snake Eye Ash to the graveyard. And now he's going to activate the effect. Let's see if this prompts a response here from Ruben.
He has plenty of options to consider. He has that Wave King High Caesar. He has multiple sets here, one being the Chamber. Not going to be useful immediately, not opting to not use any of them. The Diabellstar will be able to resolve, again, missing in the front half of the deck, so we're going to the bottom half.
Missed on the Ash as well. That was nearly at the bottom.
All right, original Sinful Spoils is set. Ruben letting Jose proceed so far, but now it looks like he is going to activate Unchained Soul of Rage effect, targeting Jose's Diabellstar, the Black Witch.
Looks like that's going to be allowed to resolve, linking away with the Diabellstar into SP Little Knight.
Looking to banish that set original Sinful Spoils. Maybe Jose has something like Wanted, Secret of the Sinful Spoils in his hand to punish this play, but he's going to need that one Wanted. Being limited, it's going to be tough.
Let's see if Jose has anything to punish now that a monster effect has been activated on Ruben's side during the main phase.
Looks like he does, in fact, have
Ooh.
triple tactics talent.
Which effect is going to be activated here? Stealing is a little tempting.
I mean, Jose might have to steal that Wave King High Caesar at this point, but there's still that SP Little Knight already on the field. He's in dire straits here. You might just need more cards to try to deal with this.
Nope, looks like he is going to take the Caesar.
Can I get a Zeus for the one time?
Probably not.
One
Take
time
a lot
for
of
the
damage
Zeus.
in the process too. Because we do have a Yubel monster and Nightmare Plane on
Tactics
the
is
field.
pretty good right here.
If I had to take the damage just to put a Zeus in the max deck, I would do it.
I think I agree. Actually.
All right, Jose's going to normal summon Snake Eye Oak, and that's going to target the Snake Eye Ash. that he got to put in the graveyard thanks to that Divine Temple and Black Witch.
That's the effect's going to be met with the SP Little Knight attempting to banish the Snake Eye Oak here.
No response, it looks like, but there
And
is another
Infinite
chain.
Impermanence.
Infinite Impermanence is going to try and negate the effect of Snake Eye Oak, and then he's going to get it off the field of the SP Little Knight, leaving Jose with just the Caesar.
Interesting, opting to do this way, even though the Infinite Impermanence would have met all of Oak's effects by itself, but he wants to make sure there's not that extra body on the board, so he gets the Caesar back.
All right, let's see how Jose plays this.
Committing the Bellstar.
Unless he has another way to special summon something, I think that Caesar's coming back.
Yeah, it would have to be something along the lines of 1-for-1 or Bonfire, right? Because you've already used the Divine Temple, the normal summon's gone, the Bellstar's gone, but there is another copy of Original?
Plays a second copy of original Sinful Spoils.
I wouldn't see that coming. Yeah.
Incredible.
I would not see that coming either. I'm not sure we saw that in any of the decks this week.
So he got to bait out the SP Little Knight with the first one, but had it all along.
But the thing, Oak is gone, the one copy of Snake Eye Ash is gone.
Poplar's still
Two in
available,
the
so
main,
just
that's
getting another
crazy.
monster on the field is step one. Because he really is only dealing with the one face down and the Phantom of Yubel.
I imagine that's probably the only thing that he has available is Poplar.
Yep, we are getting that Poplar. Poplar likely has no more targets. We've seen 3 separate targets hit the grave at this point.
Taking a chance. There is a Shavara, which is a fire.
At the very minimum, he does have access to Moon of the Closed Heaven to start his Fiendsmith line.
You have to
Couple
be careful of
different
the Phantom, though. Phantom's still out here.
Let's see. See how this plays out.
Now he is going to concede, it looks like, and Ruben is going to take
Ruben got game
game
one.
number 1 here. And now Ruben is 1 win away from being our first finalist, but, you know, it is just incredible. Both these duels have been breakout careers over the past
we need
couple
Ruben
years
to
and
win
have been
this whole
incredible.
thing, man.
Either
Shout
one
out to Ruben.
deserves to be
Been
here,
playing
but
hard for these last
you know,
couple years.
it's going to be a...
I think he
I
deserves
don't know who's
it.
going to win.
So let's see
Yeah,
how
but
it goes.
anyone could take this game, right? And I think that game really shows what you could do with either deck, because even if Ruben did know that Jose had access to a second copy, because at this point I think they've talked to each other enough, he probably did have that knowledge, but you wouldn't expect it still. You knew that a normal summon had been used, he knew Bellstar had been used, and then even the Divine Temple, which could give him access to the Snake Eye Bellstar, had been used. So the amount of additional extenders was really small. So he took the chance here and wanted to just prioritize getting all of his resources back. But even if there was an additional extender here, I think the worst case scenario was something along the lines of 1-for-1. But even then, the Oak had been used, the Ash had been used. So he knew that even if something did happen to hit the field at that point, it would just go into the Fiendsmith part of things. It's not threatening that much, and as Jose saw, he was able to get that far, but there was nothing to do after the fact, and he was able to just concede.
Yeah, I think Jerome pointed out the big sticking factor that kept Jose from being able to come back into it was the last remaining piece of interaction. It was that Phantom View Bell. Well, not being able to be destroyed by battle, and his only play was to go into a moon or something like that, and being able to have the one way to change that monster effect would have been enough there for sure.
It hurts, especially if you're going to clear your own field off, triggering off Requiem and be left with nothing.
Exactly. So Riding on the Wall doesn't want to waste any more time in that game, but it looks like we're getting a quick look in here at the other duel.
So,
Okay, we're mid the game here. It looks like Yugioh is doing some Fire King stuff. It looks like he played through a Nibiru, a Mulcharmi, a Phantasme. He has Island on the field, Ponix, and SP Little Knight.
I imagine it is actually the same turn, because it does, like, based on what I can tell, the Nibiru attributed his Phantasme as well as all those monsters, those 3 monsters from Yugioh's side. And that's what that math was for.
So are we still in
Fire
turn
King
1?
stuff, really, really
I
strong.
believe we're still in turn 1.
No, it looks like they started turn 3 because he's activating Island, but maybe not.
I just don't see enough cards on Mark's side for
True.
it to be that much longer.
Unless he just passed back or something like that.
I mean, it looks like Mark had many interruptions into Yugioh's play here, so he had to, you know, recalculate how he wanted to play off the turn multiple times. There was an Infinite Impermanence of Phantasme as well as a Nibiru. But now we're finally activating Grunix.
The Grunix coming from the graveyard really makes me think this is turn
Okay,
3.
so I guess Mark didn't do anything on his last turn. It's fair, it's fair.
The Grunix is going to special summon from the graveyard. That destroys a Kieran from the deck to special summon Arvata from the hand. Arvata's be able to protect himself from monster effects.
All these players are top tier, high level players, so these plays are
There's a
insane.
chance that no.
I do think I see 2 cards over in Mark's hand.
So Engraver coming back from the graveyard. Yugioh looks like he's doing some math in his head.
Definitely some kind of math happening.
But we're going to have to wait and find out as our players on the feature match stage are shuffling up, shuffling each other's decks. They have side decked and they are almost ready here for game number 2.
Jose does get to take the lead here, going first with his Snake Eye strategy. We've seen how powerful it has been all throughout the tournament, even with the restriction copies of Bonfire and Ash.
Getting a few last-minute instructions here from our judges on when to begin. I imagine that they've played so many times at this point that this is one of those situations where you might outthink yourself, thinking, well, I know what that he knows, that I know that he knows what I'm going to do here, so I'm going to do this other thing
instead.
instead.
It's going to get interesting. All right,
I think
game
both these
2
players
starts. Let's see how it
going
starts.
into game 2,
See what goes
they
on.
have been at this stage so many times up to this point that
Oh, charming.
And we already see Balcharmi Barulia being dropped immediately. Now, we saw some really interesting lines of play yesterday that went completely around it or only gave one draw off it. So let's see if Jose has one of those up his sleeve.
And yeah, one of the ways to get around it is Fiendsmith's track, but that's met by Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring here from Ruben.
Ruben is trying to deny any value from Jose here, forcing Jose to commit from the hand, giving Ruben back those cards that he spent.
Let's see if Jose's going to have to move to a normal summon here and give Ruben a card thanks to that Parillia.
There's going to be a Bonfire. Bonfire likely grabbing a copy of Poplar here from the deck. Yep, there it is. Poplar going to be able to activate in the hand because it was added from the deck. Giving one draw to Ruben, but also adding a card from his deck to his hand.
Yeah, avoiding just the normal summon of Snake Eye Ash, but does he have another interaction?
It looks like he does. Infinite Impermanence on the Poplar. Ruben trying to make sure Jose can't get anything going.
Still 3 cards left in hand here. Now, the line we saw yesterday, I think the only summon from hand was the one Poplar, but in that case it resolved.
So gonna have to work a little harder now. Using the Poplar's effect in the graveyard to put itself back in the spell and trap zone, and we're gonna use the original again on the Poplar.
That's huge. Doesn't give any draws to Ruben.
It's crazy. Let's see what happens.
The Infinite Permanence being baited out very easily. Already having original in the hand, going to be able to go for Snake Eyes Oak. Snake Eyes Oak targeting the Poplar. Poplar hits the field once again.
And this is the way we saw it yesterday. In that case, it did go and grab the original Sinful Spoils and set everything off. So by just drawing it in the first place, he can shoot through that infinite impermanence and still keep going.
That is a good note. Makes that imperm not as critical.
I'm kind of getting sold on 2 original Sinful Spoils.
I mean, yeah, if you just happen to draw it. I mean, at that point, just play 3.
Why not?
I do think Ruben it was not a wasteful Infinite Permanence. If you already had a copy of original, that means you could have had Divine Temple and original in your hand, and that would have gotten a lot worse for Ruben. But now we are going to the Engraver after the Requiem. Requiem is going to use its effect, equipping to the Engraver.
So Jose still have
Requiem
plays
here
after
is
3 hand
not
traps.
going to go into Necroquip Princess, but going to be sent to the graveyard with Snake Eye Oak. Now, does he go for Ash or Flamebirds right away? It looks like he's going to Snake Eyes, Flamebirds Dragon. Love those quarter century secret rares.
Certainly, he's got a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot. His deck is very pretty.
I saw a few of them were available at the OTS booth that we had for the World's Competitors to get cards from yesterday. A lot of great looking cards in that.
If there's any opportunity to flex, you know, this is the one, right? If
That's right.
You might as well.
Maybe a better one next round if they make it.
Was I really considering his options here? Already used the Requiem to equip. Debating if he wants to immediately link away here or use potentially the track to fuse. Looks like we're going to opt to activate the track in the graveyard, banishing itself so that he can fuse with his field and his hand, using 2 Engravers, 1 copy from the hand, 1 copy on the field, to fusion summon Fiendsmith Lacrima.
Yep, Fiendsmith's Lacrima is going to let him special summon back one of those engravers. He already drew the track, so
Jose's
odds are he
still cooking.
won't be
Let's
adding
see
it
what's
back to his hand.
what he-
Normally
what
opening
he
up
cook in the
Fiendsmith's
kitchen.
track,
Let's
yeah, the original Sinful Spoil is not where you want to be, but Jose finding a way to utilize these cards still.
Ruben potentially out of interruptions from his hand at this point. Jose just has to find the appropriate amount of interruptions to make on his field to counter, I want to say only, at this point, 2-3 cards from Ruben's hand?
Looks like
So-
he's got 3.
Yeah, drawing 1 card from the Prulia so far.
So he'll draw up to 4.
So
Alright, the next move is Link Summon here for Fiendsmith sequence.
leaving the Flamebridge on the field, keeping himself protected in case Nibiru, the Primal Being, does come down.
Now, since Lacrima has already been used, he's probably going to be... Well, first he's going to use that Fiendsmith's Lacrima effect to make sure to get that 1,200 points of damage in, and now be looking to summon Fiendsmith's Desiree.
Does he have enough Fiends in the graveyard still? There are 2 copies of Engraver and the Lacrima, I believe?
Yep.
There it is. He's also got the Requiem.
Oh, he gets to keep an Engraver in the grave as well. That is perfect.
So now is the question, how much does he fear and respect Nibiru? Does he equip the Desiree from the field? He has to continue his plays, I'd imagine. This is not a strong enough board quite just yet.
Yeah, especially against Yubel. Yubel is very powerful and able to power through a lot of these weaker Snake Eye boards, so you have to commit a little bit more. And now we're going to see the Flamebridge activate in the graveyard, summoning back
Jose making a real good
the
board.
2 level 1 monsters.
See how
The sequence
Ruben
is going to
can deal
equip
with
itself
this.
to the Desiree. Promethean Princess is going to use its effect, summon back the Flamebridge Dragon. The Desiree is going to negate his own princess, so now he is no longer locked into fires. We're going to be linking away into the link to IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena and the princess are going to be linked away now for likely Appaloosa Boa, the goddess. There she is. And now Flamebridge can finally get that IP Masquerena back into the spell and trap zone.
Yep, Ruben had a small window, Ruben had a small window there to use Nibiru the Primal Being if he did have it, but it doesn't look like it is one of the cards in his hand.
And there is also a set from Jose here, giving only 1 draw to Ruben and facing down Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence. Quite a formidable board.
Yeah, Jose played that excellent.
See how long it takes for that set card to be flipped face up. One different dimension ground later, and it could be headed to a game 3.
That's true. We did see that card a lot yesterday. All right, Ruben draws.
The card is staying face down.
It sounds like Ruben's going to hit the concede button.
All right.
Yeah, he's picking up his
So this
cards. We're
match
going to go
is
right
1-1
on to
right
game
now.
3. This is way too much to deal
Hopefully
with after
Ruben can pull
already
it off,
spending
man. He
3
will.
cards
He'll
from
pull
your
it
hand.
off.
When you start
He'll
off
get
with
this game
Prulia, you're
3.
expecting that you're going to get some kind of return on that investment throughout the turn. But Jose's line of play there was really excellent and was able to give him just 1 single draw on the way to setting up a huge field.
That's right. Now Jose has evened things out to push things to a game
right,
number
so
3.
it's
But yeah,
1-1.
going back to Mulcharming Purley, we've seen that a lot this weekend. Probably in almost every feature match between these mirror matches. But we've also seen all the players already coming prepared for that card and having a lot of plays designed around to give them as minimal cards as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one of those things when these kind of cards come out where they can be really punishing when you don't know what to do. But a lot of these players, especially at the World Championship stage, they have practiced into it. They know how to adjust their plays to get the maximum value from their turn while giving the minimum value to your opponent. And it's very clear that Jose has done just that.
You see how serious
It's some
Ruben
real
is
good
there. They are
gameplay.
both
It's always
very
good when the
focused on
games
their
come
game, but it
down
looks
to a
like we
game
can
3.
Look in at our other game that's going on right now. It looks like it might still be that same game because I see, yeah, the Black Goat last, the Sanctuary on the field there. It is the same game.
The graveyard is huge now, though, over on Mark's side. He's going into the battle phase, and Snake Eyes Flambearer's Dragon is attacking.
Yeah, Flamebridge uses its effect, putting the Engraver in the spell and trap zone. Might be usually when you see that happen, it's a bit of a commitment into trying to potentially go for game, or you're just trying to limit resources because at this point, if Engraver is off from the graveyard, you can't really access it again without Yugioh's own Snake Eye cards.
Oh, this is interesting. The Sanctuary is still on the field, but the Fire King Island is not.
Yeah, might have got banished by something like
Like SP Little Knight.
Little Knight.
Yep. But, you know, with just a Flamebird's Dragon on Mark's side of the field, that's not the most formidable board here. And Fire King's really good at having that follow-up plays as long as there's ways to access that Grunix. I mean, even just normal summon a Fire Monster, go to battle, attack into a Flamebird's Dragon could be something that could help Yugioh out
We
here.
need Mark to win
I mean,
this.
I
so we can
expect
have
if
another
there's a
United
Flamebird on the
States
field and
player
the graveyard
for
that
a
thick,
champion.
there's probably a princess in there somewhere.
We're still on Mark's turn. Not anymore. He just passed. Yugioh considered something in the end phase, and now we are headed.
Whoa!
Hang on.
Pressure
Planet Race-Off.
That
Just, you know,
is
Fender not
crazy.
allowed.
Yeah.
so it's probably going to be Kashtira Unicorn if I had to guess.
Yeah, the Kashtira Unicorn goes to Yugioh's hand here. I wonder what he's trying to do with that.
That's unexpected in Fire
That was
Kings,
crazy.
but I love to see
I'm glad
it.
that they tuned in into the match to support the show. Wow.
I think Mark's just as confused as we are.
So the Unicorn, when you use the effect, can add a spell to your hand, cast your spell. Its
Looks like
other effect takes a look at your
Super
extra deck
interesting.
and causes mayhem.
Mayhem is a good
Wonder
way
if
to
he side
describe
decked
that.
that.
It looks like Mark is worried about that Mayhem. He might be considering something like Promethean Princess, as you mentioned, that could be in that graveyard.
You
As
know-
he goes to pick it up, we might be able to get a peek. Nope, not quite. But that game is...
We'll never know.
we will eventually. We'll find out who that winner is shortly. But our players on our main feature match stage are shuffled up. They're side decked and ready. The handshake, the final handshake for one of them. They know that their friend will either be moving on or they will be in the finals. Either way, it's going to be an epic final game 3
All
of
right,
our
game
semifinal
3. Let's see
match
how this ends.
between two
Ruben
of these
versus
players from the
Jose.
United States.
One United States player will move on
At this
to the
point, I
finals.
think they've made
Let's
peace
see.
with one of them having to move on. They can't be disappointed with the result. They just have to root for each other and do the best that they can to be the one that gets to move on.
Incredibly high tension, even out here among the people that have gathered from the other World Championship players and all the different content creators that have been here this weekend. Everybody's sitting in front of this match, watching it intently. The tension is
All right, game
massive.
3. Let's go.
It's game 3 of our semifinal match. It's time to duel. This will be the last game for one of these players. The other one will be stamping their ticket to the finals of the World Championship.
Ruben takes a look at his hand here for the first time, considering his options, moving into the main phase. There's going to be activating Piri Ray map.
Oh,
This lets him add a monster with 0 stats, and it's going to cost him half his life points.
and Jose has to take a look at it. It's the first time we've seen it during this tournament as well.
Yeah, Piri Rice map, one of my favorite cards. Get it? It is really cool. I love this card. It's able to search something like Dark Beckoning Beast, so it's almost an additional copy of Opening the Spirit Gates without, that bonus second effect.
Ruben making a lot of deck building choices where he has a lot of powerful cards going first, but just focusing on the ability to play through and having as many live cards as possible. Piri Ray map being one of them. Gonna grab that Opening the Spirit Gates you mentioned earlier. Spirit Gates being activated. Is there a response from Jose? Doesn't seem like it. Gonna be able to add another copy likely of the Dark Beckoning Beast or Chaos Summoning Beast.
Now this is what went wrong in the
Ruben
first
off to a
game, is
good
that Jose
start
had
somewhat.
nothing to
Let's
do
see.
during Ruben's turn.
We're gonna have to see if that's the case again.
We're gonna use the additional normal summon on the Chaos Summoning Beast. That likely means there isn't a Sanctuary Lotus in Ruben's hand. So Jose at least has that Breath of Relief. It could have been worse.
All right, 2 monsters on the field, 2 monsters sent to the graveyard. Link summon for Unchained Soul, Lord of Yama.
Oh, and now Jose's going to take a peek at his hand. What has he got? It's Phantasmal
Phantasme.
Dragon Phantasme.
Well, if he didn't have any responses yet, he could find some more right here.
Dig 2 more and put something he doesn't need back into the deck.
It really is
Phantasm always been
fantastic to
putting
see
in work.
Fantastical Dragon Phantasma
for
here
Jose.
in the
Or at least him
semifinals of the
trying to
World
resolve it.
Championship. It's such a cool card.
Looks like this one's going to be a really tough choice, though.
Yeah, when he's considering this one, that means he doesn't have a bad card that he immediately wants to throw back. He has to consider what tools he needs for the following turn, as well as what he needs to stop Ruben's turn right now.
All right. Well, that one's going to go back in.
Shuffling up. Let's see.
And Shavara is going to be added to Ruben's hand.
All right.
This is
So it looked like he
tense.
didn't have
It's
no
epic.
interactions, but he did have
There's so
at
much
least
on
one.
the line here. The glory, the title of becoming the Yu-Gi-Oh! World Champion. It's so hard to get to the World Championship, and when you're here in top 4, you want to make sure you do everything you can to give yourself the best chance to make the finals.
Well, this was real rough for Jose here because Ruben did in fact have the Spirit of Yubel in his hand. He's activating the effect of opening the Spirit Gates, discarding the Spirit of Yubel, attempting to summon it back. We did not see access to the Yubel engine just yet until this moment.
He has 4 cards in his hand. Jose asking for a hand count. Maybe he's considering a response, something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and he does have it. So that's cutting off the access to Nightmare Pain, which is huge.
Even
But
considering having a response, he
He's
has
got
Crossout
the one of
Designator.
Crossout
Crossout
Designator.
Designator.
the one of here at the World
Oh
Championship.
no!
Not much Jose can do about that.
Does he have Bell?
How would you bet
Or no,
that?
Bell's,
Yeah,
Bell's
call
for Call by
by.
the Grave, yeah, the other one. Artifact Lancia? That one
Mark of
work?
the Engraver?
Okay, there's a few ones that
Yeah.
can work. So he does have Nightmare Pain, despite Jose's best efforts to stop it. It looks like Jose's demeanor kind of changed a little bit after that Crossout Designator.
Gonna allow the Nightmare Pain to resolve. Gonna destroy the Spirit of Yubel to add the Grave Squirmer from deck to hand, and now he's gonna be able to trigger that Spirit of Yubel to special summon a Yubel from the
Ruben
deck.
gaining a lot of advantage here. Let's see if he can pull it
The
out.
gruesome Grave Squirmer. Would have been hilarious if we did add regular Grave
Grave Squirmer,
Squirmer.
yes, yes, yes. It's a lot of words, Billy.
I know.
I gotta save my breath.
It's a whole extra word, I understand completely.
We got another match coming.
I'm just giving you a hard time, but Yubel is now on the field.
Jose takes a very long look at that spirit.
Yeah, he knows that there could be a Phantom of Yubel coming soon, so if he has a monster effect he wants
Yeah.
to use, he has to do it now, and it's Nibiru, the primal being.
Jose understanding what will happen in the near future, so having to take advantage now while he has the opportunity. Ruben considering something in response here.
He does have that Shrivara in hand. He wants to destroy his Yama instead of let it be tributed.
Maybe destroying the Yubel, so the Yubel will also trigger.
Yubel.
Getting the effect of Shrivara as well. Having Jose clear it for him instead of having to clear it himself. But it looks like the Nibiru will just be resolving here, giving a token to Ruben's side.
A lot of zeros on defenses, including not even having defense points in the case of the Link monster.
And here is going to be the fuse materials shuffled back into the deck to special summon Phantom of Yubel.
Now that a Fiend is back on the field, Ruben is open to use that gruesome Grave Squirmer that is in his hand.
Yugioh Asala, good job. I'm proud.
One word now is a word less that I can't use later.
All right, Spirit of Yubel with a nib token. Let's see where he could go from here.
Next up, it looks like
22 minutes left in the
Ruben is
round.
considering his options. He's already used the opening Spirit Gates, and as you said, gruesome Grave Squirmer coming down to the field.
Considering some options in his extra deck here, he wants to put that Squirmer in the graveyard as soon as he can. Linking away with the Phantom Yubel, going into Moon of the Close Heaven.
Does need effect monsters, so he's not able to use that token.
Going into the Requiem, Requiem acting his effect.
Accessing the Fiendsmith engine in the deck.
Going to be using the effect of Requiem to equip to the Engraver, and then using Engraver's effect, sending the Requiem as well as the Nibiru to the graveyard, and then immediately linking away with the token to go into Fiendsmith Sequence. Sequence activating its effect now. Looks like Jose might have a response here. Wants to look at the graveyard one more time.
Maybe someone that can take Engraver out of the graveyard?
It doesn't look like it's happening right now. The sequence is resolving. Oh, it's going straight for a Desiree.
Okay, is he going to equip the sequence from the field, or does he have another way to get it off? He's going to, use Gruesome Grave Squirmer, Special Max Spirit of Yubel. So he could now link away the sequence to put it into the graveyard, but Shavara's going to come down first, targeting Spirit of Yubel. The destruction effect is not once per turn, so he'll be able to special summon a Yubel from the deck.
This is a powerful position here. Usually when you see a Shavara activated on something like Spirit of Yubel, you get to trigger a few things here, but it looks like he didn't opt to use the effect of Yama at this point. And now you're going to be linking away with the Shavara as well as the Yubel into Unchained Soul of Rage.
Now since Shavara was sent to the graveyard, he's going to be able to set the Abominable Chamber of the Unchained from the deck.
All right.
Now likely going to be linking away with both of his link monsters just to put them in the grave to get value from both the sequence as well as Soul of Rage.
First, he's getting another Phantom of Yubels on the field, however.
Might as well. Likely going to be an end piece in your combo. Not really worried about any monster effects immediately. Ash Blossom has been used, Nibiru has been used.
This is very similar to the game we saw game 1 of round 2 yesterday, where Jose had a lot of interactions from his hand, but Ruben was still able to push through those interactions and make a really, really solid field.
See how Jose plays
actually not choosing to link away, just using the sequence on the field to equip to the Desiree, leaving the Unchained Soul on the field as well as the chamber set.
As Jose goes into what might be his final turn of the tournament, we do have an update from our other match. Yugioh has eventually taken that very long game 2 and tied things up at 1 apiece in our other semifinal.
Fire Kings, Fire Kings. So either way, both of these semifinals push to a game 3.
Jose finally having a turn here, but still having to deal with quite the formidable board himself. Going to be leading with that tract as he has in previous turns.
That Fiendsmith tract has been stuck in Jose's hand.
Ruben is going to allow it to resolve here. Adding the Fabled Lurry from the deck to the hand. Going to be discarding that Lurry, I can only assume. Yep. Lurry activating its effect here. Ruben showing no concern thus far.
This is tense. All right, gonna link away the Fabled Lurry to link summon Fiendsmith's Requiem. Requiem's gonna show himself off, trying to summon Fiendsmith Engraver from the deck. There it is.
Requiem going to, especially after the Requiem equips to the Engraver, Engraver's going to use its effect to try to force something out, but I believe at this point, the Rage has to go down and target the Engraver before it gets any value. And that's allowed to resolve. Ruben declares he's going into the SP Little Knight, and he's going to try to banish the Engraver from the graveyard, cutting off that resource as well.
See if Jose has a response here. He does.
Another copy of Phantasme here. Does Ruben want to use the Phantom of Yubel now just to keep it in his hand?
Checks that other face down card. That's the Chamber of the Unchained.
So he is going to use Phantom of Yubel.
Locking up Jose's hand. Really unfortunate that he had multiple Phantasmas. I wonder if he had drawn that for turn, or he just had to put back a different card off the Phantasma in the previous turn.
All right. Ruben stopping some plays. Let's see how this goes.
Now the Spirit is going to be able to activate once destroyed off of the effect of Phantom Yubel. Keeping the Yubel on the field for the effect of Nightmare Pain, making it so that SP Little Knight cannot be attacked. to be normal summoning Snake Eye Poplar now.
He pushed through a lot of these interruptions that Ruben's had. We don't know what he has in his hand. He still has SP Little Knight on the field. We know he has the chamber set.
He still hasn't used that Desiree either.
Oh yeah, the Desiree is still available, but SP Little Knight is going to use the effect to banish itself and Poplar. Oh,
Jose's conceding,
oh,
and Ruben moves on to the finals.
Ruben is going to be our first finalist here at the World Championship 2024. You know, you see the camaraderie, the friendship. He literally said, it's up to you now. Just incredible to see. Lots of emotions. These players have been playing
made it to the
with
finals.
each other for so long, and now Ruben
like to see.
is in the finals, representing the United States of America.
Ruben had such a career up to this point. I want to say, within the last 2 years, he's been within all the groups of the best players within North America for so long, but he had not gotten his own win yet, and then he won 2 3v3s, but again, has not won on his own, and now he's going to the finals, which he's been in before in his own YCS, but he has a chance at the world stage.
Seems a little better. It's like, yeah, okay, fine. I didn't win 3
All right, that's
or
what
4
I like
or
to see.
6
Ruben going
YCSs.
into the finals.
But I'm
So
a
that
world
is
champion.
it for the
Potentially,
semifinals
he
of
has
the
that
WC
opportunity to
2024.
walk away
Like,
with
comment,
the
subscribe,
title.
share the videos.
Only
We're on the
one
road to
player
1,000
gets
subscribers.
every
I will be
single
back with the
year,
final matches.
And you know, the job's not
That's it.
done.
I
He
grind
still
Yugioh,
has
we are
another
out.
round to go. We can look here at
Oh,
some of the
unless
action
you
going
wanna
on
watch
at our
the
other
final- we can
semifinal
watch the
matches.
final
This
match.
is going to be the 3rd game. It looks like Mark is in the process of comboing off. He has a Fiendsmith sequence. Use Poplar's effect to go back on his spell and trap card zone. And now sequence, shuffle back the materials required to summon Fiendsmith's Lacrima. Lacrima is going to target that Fiendsmith Engraver.
And he's going to hold him up here.
I want to know what happened to that Veiler. How did it get there?
A Bestial, maybe?
Yeah, it feels like it got bestialed.
But
That's
then-
not all I could think of.
But-
and linked away, maybe?
Did I assume he had to like have normal summoned it then, right? Because when did he have the opportunity to Veiler?
He could have discarded with track. There's a whole number of different things that could have happened, but who knows? Could have normal summoned it, though. I think that is a good guess.
Checking on something.
Oh, he crossed it out. He crossed out that Veiler.
Oh, okay.
That's
That
the
makes
easiest
sense.
use, yeah.
That makes sense. Now we see the spell card down there at the bottom of the graveyard. We've got Cross-Out Designator as well as the, looks like the Tract, Fiendsmith Engraver. And Yugioh is still thinking on the effect of this sequence. This could really make or break things, whether or not Desiree makes it to the field.
Yeah, he's going to need something here. He doesn't want Mark to continue his plays much further than this. If he has some sort of interruption, some sort of interaction, it looks like he is really deep in thought here.
Or rather, if the Engraver gets to the field.
Yeah.
Well, he's already used sequence.
Yeah, it was sequenced for Lacrima. I imagine Lacrima is targeting the Engraver right now. Maybe Yugioh's considering activating a Bestial, or if he's choosing to save it for later.
Now, the Bestial would change the identity of the card. So even if you targeted it, even though it can special summon, from being banished, it would be considered a different card. So Bestial would stop this.
Cards that move locations are different cards. That is correct. You're really considering this. Well, unless I'm missing something, is Mark considering? Or maybe they're in a judge call right now.
That is also possible. They could be asking for a translation on one of the cards.
I do think that has to be the case.
Because the players were instructed at the start to not just try and get translations on their own. If they need a translation or an interpreter, they need to call a judge first, and then the judge will provide whatever service they need, whether it's access to an interpreter or to a local language version of the card.
Yeah, I hope it's that, not waiting on like the live stream to start play, because I would rather them just continue going on the way it was. But yeah, probably a judge call. But man, I'm still riding just that excitement from Ruben making the finals.
All right, so
Either
maybe
way,
a judge
like,
call.
the
So
winner
we're
of
going to
this
get
game
into
will
the
be
next match.
facing
But
off
this is
against
Igron
Ruben,
Yugioh.
and,
We are
like,
out.